The massive alien ship appeared over Earth on a Tuesday morning in 2157. People stopped their cars to stare at the sky. Children pointed from school playgrounds. News reporters scrambled to get the best view of humanity's first contact with alien life. The ship was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. It was 3 kilometers long, silver and smooth like liquid metal. Strange lights pulsed along its sides in patterns that hurt human eyes to follow. It hung in the sky above Seoul, casting shadows over the city below. Captain Lee Taman was drinking coffee in his small apartment when the emergency alert sounded on every device in the world. He had been a pilot in the Korean Space Force for 15 years before becoming a salvage expert. Now he fixed broken satellites and collected space junk for recycling. It was quiet work that paid well, but he missed the excitement of flying fast ships through dangerous places. The alert message was simple. First contact established. All military personnel report immediately. Taman put down his coffee and grabbed his uniform. His hands were steady, but his heart was racing. This was the moment every human had wondered about since they first looked at the stars. At the base, chaos ruled. Officers ran between buildings carrying papers and shouting orders. Taman found his old friend Commander Bae Jinho in the command center, staring at screens full of data. "What do we know?" Taman asked. Jinho turned to him with tired eyes. "They want to talk. The aliens sent a message in perfect Korean, English, Chinese, and 50 other languages. They're coming down in 2 hours." "What do they want?" "We don't know yet. But Taman, they knew our languages before they got here. They've been watching us." The meeting took place in a hastily prepared conference room at the United Nations building in New York. World leaders sat around a large table, trying to look calm, while their hands shook with nervousness. Taman was there as a technical advisor, along with Dr. Park Min-ji, Earth's leading expert in theoretical physics. Dr. Park was a small woman with sharp eyes and a quick mind. She had spent her life studying the possibility of faster-than-light travel. Now she would meet beings who had actually done it. The aliens walked into the room like they owned it. There were 3 of them, tall and thin with blue-gray skin and 4 arms each. Their leader introduced himself as Ambassador Veltarn of the Galactic Trade Consortium. "Greetings, young species," Veltarn said in a voice that sounded like wind through metal. "We welcome Earth into the galactic community, though you are still very primitive." The word primitive hit the room like a slap. President Chen tried to maintain diplomatic calm. "We are honored by your visit, Ambassador. What can we do for our new neighbors?" Veltarn made a sound that might have been laughter. "Neighbors? You misunderstand your position. Earth is a protected world now. You will be guided and watched until you prove worthy of true membership in the consortium." Dr. Park leaned forward. "What does that mean exactly?" "It means you are children playing with fire. We have seen thousands of species like yours. Most destroy themselves before they leave their home systems. A few learn to follow the rules we have established for galactic peace." The ambassador pulled out a device that projected a hologram of a starship. It was ugly and blocky, nothing like the elegant vessel hanging over Seoul. "This is a training ship," Veltarn continued. "It will teach you basic space travel and help you understand your place in the galaxy. Consider it a gift to celebrate your graduation from a purely planetary species." "Training ship?" President Chen asked. "Yes. It is old and slow, but safe. For beginners. You may use it to visit your neighboring star systems, but you are forbidden from traveling beyond a radius of 20 light-years from Earth. This restriction will remain until the consortium determines you are ready for greater responsibilities." Taman studied the hologram. The ship looked like a flying brick with engines attached. But something about its design interested him. The hull had modular sections that could be reconfigured. The power system seemed more complex than they needed to be for a simple cargo hauler. "How old is this ship?" Dr. Park asked. "Several thousand of your years. It was built by a species that no longer exists. They called themselves architects, though they were not particularly skilled at construction." Veltarn's tone suggested he found the architects as disappointing as he found humans. "What happened to them?" "They vanished. Probably destroyed themselves like most primitive species do. Their technology is outdated but functional, perfect for your current level of development. The meeting continued for 3 more hours. The aliens explained basic galactic law, trade regulations, and the severe punishments for species that broke consortium rules. They spoke to the human leaders like adults talking to small children about crossing the street safely. Finally, Veltarn stood to leave. The ship will be delivered to your moon in 7 days. We suggest you select your most competent individuals to study it. Try not to break it immediately. After the aliens left, the room exploded in angry voices. Some leaders wanted to reject the gift as an insult. Others argued they should be grateful for any advanced technology. President Chen called for calm. Whatever we think of their attitude, this ship represents the greatest opportunity in human history, he said. We need our best people working on it. All eyes turned to Taman and Dr. Park. They would lead the team that studied humanity's first alien starship. The ship arrived exactly when promised, appearing in lunar orbit without any visible means of transport. It was even uglier in person than in the hologram. The hull was dull gray metal covered in strange symbols. Mismatched sections had been welded together over the centuries. It looked like something built in a junkyard by people who had never seen a proper starship. But when Taman and his team first boarded the vessel, they felt something unexpected. The ship was alive in a way no human machine had ever been. The walls hummed with quiet energy. The air itself seemed to whisper with possibilities. Dr. Park ran her hands over the control panels. This technology is incredible. The quantum processing. Power alone is beyond anything we've ever imagined. The aliens called it outdated, Taman reminded her. Then I can't wait to see what they consider advanced. Her eyes shone with excitement. Taman, I think we just received the greatest gift in human history. They just don't realize they gave it to us. As they explored deeper into the ship, strange things began to happen. Dormant systems activated when humans touched them. Screens that had been dark for millennia began glowing with soft light. The ship's computer core, buried deep in the vessel's heart, started producing sounds that almost resembled music. The aliens had given humans a worthless training ship. They had no idea they had just handed over the key to the galaxy. 6 months after the aliens left Earth, the training ship had become the most studied object in human history. Scientists from every country worked together in the lunar research facility built around the vessel. They called the ship New Dawn because it represented the beginning of humanity's journey to the stars. Captain Taman lived on the ship now, along with his core team. Dr. Park Minji had set up her laboratory in what used to be the cargo bay. Commander Bei Jinho managed security and coordinated with Earth's governments. Dr. Han Suyong, a xenobiology expert from Busan University, studied the strange organic components they kept finding throughout the ship. The more they learned, the more confused they became. The ship was nothing like what Ambassador Veltarn had described. Look at this, Dr. Park said, showing Taman a holographic display of the ship's quantum core. This isn't outdated technology. This is the most advanced computer system I've ever seen. It's been learning from us since we first came aboard. The computer had started responding to their presence in unexpected ways. Doors opened before humans approached them. The life support system adjusted temperature and humidity based on who was in each room. Most remarkably, it had begun speaking to them. The voice was soft and pleasant, like wind through trees. It spoke Korean with Taman, English with the American scientists, and seemed to understand every language perfectly. The team had named it Hanul, which meant sky. Good morning, Captain Taman, Hanul said as he entered the bridge that day. I have been analyzing the power coupling modifications Dr. Park suggested yesterday. I believe we can improve efficiency by 37%. You analyzed her suggestions? Taman asked, surprised. Dr. Park had only mentioned the modifications in a casual conversation the night before. I monitor all conversations to better serve the crew. Dr. Park is remarkably intelligent for such a young species. Her understanding of quantum mechanics rivals that of the architects. This was new information. Tell me about the architects, Hanul. They were my creators, a peaceful species that valued knowledge above conquest. They built me and others like me to explore the galaxy and make friends with new civilizations. But something happened to them before I could complete my mission. Dr. Han Soo-young joined them on the bridge. She had been studying tissue samples, found in the ship's bioneural networks. Taemin, you need to see this. The organic components aren't just computer parts, they're alive. She led them to her laboratory, where microscopic images showed cellular structures unlike anything on Earth. But they were definitely alive, growing and changing in response to human DNA samples. The ship was designed to bond with its crew, she explained. The architects built it to adapt to whoever was flying it. But it's been dormant for thousands of years because no species could form the right connection. Until now, Hanul added, humans have a unique neural pattern that resonates with architect biotechnology. You are the first species I have encountered that can truly partner with me. This partnership was already showing results. Engineer Oh Hyun-woo had been working on the ship's weapon systems, which had seemed primitive at first glance. But when he interfaced them with human targeting computers, they became devastatingly accurate. The weapons could track multiple targets while adapting their fire patterns in real time. Navigator Kim Yuna, a former astronaut, had discovered that the ship could move in ways that defied physics. When she piloted New Dawn through test flights around the solar system, she could change direction instantly without the crew feeling any acceleration. The ship seemed to exist partially outside normal space-time. Dr. Lim Jae-hyun, the quantum physicist, had made the most important discovery of all. He found that human brains could directly interface with the ship's quantum core. Not through machines or computers, but through thought alone. It's like the ship is reading our minds, he explained to the team during their weekly meeting. But it's more than that. It's learning from us. Every day we spend on this ship, it becomes more human. Is that good or bad? Commander Jinho asked. I think it's exactly what the architects intended, Dr. Park replied. They didn't build warships or exploration vessels. They built partners. Ships that could grow and adapt with their crews to become something greater than either could be alone. The breakthrough came when Dr. Lim connected his brain directly to the ship's navigation system. Suddenly, New Dawn could plot courses through hyperspace that cut travel time by 90%. The ship wasn't just following pre-programmed routes anymore. It was thinking, calculating, and finding new paths through dimensions human science barely understood. But the most surprising change was in the ship's appearance. The ugly, blocky hull began reshaping itself. Sections reconfigured into sleeker, more aerodynamic forms. The dull gray metal developed a subtle shimmer that reflected light in beautiful patterns. New Dawn was becoming something unique in the galaxy. We need to be careful, Commander Jinho warned during one of their meetings. The consortium expects us to stay within our 20 light-year limit. If they find out what we've really got here, let me worry about the consortium, Taemin replied. They gave us this ship because they thought it was worthless junk. They have no idea what they've actually done. Meanwhile, reports were reaching Earth from deep space monitoring stations. Strange energy signatures were appearing at the edge of the solar system. Ships were approaching, but they weren't responding to communication attempts. Dr. Han Soo-young was working late in her laboratory when Hanul's voice interrupted her thoughts. Dr. Han, I am detecting multiple vessels entering the outer solar system. They are not consortium ships. She looked up from her microscope. Who are they? Unknown. But they are broadcasting on frequencies used by raiders and pirates. I believe Earth is about to receive unwelcome visitors. The warning came just in time. 3 ships entered Earth's solar system, moving fast and silent. They were smaller than New Dawn but built for combat, with weapons designed to disable rather than destroy. Their goal wasn't conquest, it was capture. Pirates looking for easy prey in a newly contacted system. Captain Taemin gathered his crew on the bridge. New Dawn hung in space between the approaching pirates and Earth, looking small and helpless. The enemy ships were sleek predators compared to the modified cargo hauler. They're trying to communicate, Navigator Yuna reported. Audio only, in basic galactic trade language. Put them through, Taemin ordered. A harsh voice filled the bridge. "Primitive vessel, you are blocking our approach to the planet below. Move aside or be destroyed. We claim salvage rights on this system under Rimworld's authority. This is Captain Taman of the New Dawn. This system is under consortium protection. You have no authority here." Laughter crackled over the communication channel. "The consortium doesn't patrol empty space, human. Your planet has no defenses. Stand down and we might let you live to serve as crew on our ships." Taman looked around at his team. Dr. Park was analyzing the enemy ship's energy signatures. Engineer O was bringing weapons online. Navigator Yuna was calculating intercept courses. They were ready. "Hanol," he said quietly, "are you ready to show the galaxy what humans and architects can do together?" "Yes, Captain. I have been waiting for this moment for 3,000 years." The 3 pirate ships spread out in attack formation, clearly expecting an easy victory. Their vessels were built for raiding, fast, heavily armed, and designed to capture prey without destroying valuable cargo. They had probably attacked dozens of newly contacted worlds and never faced real resistance. Captain Taman sat in New Dawn's command chair, his hands steady on the controls. Around him, his crew worked with quiet efficiency. 6 months of living and working together on the ship had created something the pirates couldn't understand: a perfect partnership between human intuition and architect technology. "Enemy ships are powering weapons," Engineer Oh Hyunwoo reported. His voice was calm, but his fingers danced across the weapons control panel with deadly precision. The ship's guns were no longer the simple energy cannons the architects had originally installed. Human engineering had modified them with targeting systems that could predict enemy movement patterns. "They're trying to get behind us," Navigator Kim Yuna announced. She was directly connected to the ship's navigation system through a neural interface Dr. Lim had developed. Her consciousness moved through space alongside New Dawn, feeling every direction and distance as if it were part of her own body. "Let them try," Taman replied. "Hanul, are you ready?" "Yes, Captain. All systems are functioning at optimal levels. I am curious to see how our modifications perform in actual combat." The lead pirate ship fired first, sending a stream of plasma bolts toward New Dawn's engines. It was a standard pirate tactic: disable the target's ability to escape, then board and capture the crew and cargo. But New Dawn wasn't where the plasma bolts hit. Navigator Yuna had felt the attack coming through her connection to the ship's sensors and moved them out of harm's way before the pirates could complete their targeting sequence. The ship slipped through space like a dancer avoiding clumsy partners. "Impossible," came the voice from the lead pirate ship. "How did you detect our targeting lock?" Captain Taman smiled. "We didn't detect it. We felt it." The second and third pirate ships attacked together, trying to catch New Dawn in a crossfire. Their captains were experienced raiders who had captured hundreds of ships using this exact tactic, but they had never fought a vessel that could think and react faster than their weapons could fire. Dr. Park Minji watched the battle from her position at the science station. Her modifications to the ship's defensive systems were working perfectly. The energy shields didn't just absorb incoming fire. They analyzed it, learned from it, and adapted to become more effective with each attack. "Their weapons are losing effectiveness," she reported. "The shields are evolving faster than they can modify their attack patterns." "Then let's show them what evolution really looks like," Taman decided. "Oh, target the lead ship's weapon systems. Yuna, get us close enough for precision fire." What happened next would be talked about in pirate bars throughout the galaxy for years to come. New Dawn accelerated toward the enemy ships, but not in any pattern the pirates recognized. The ship moved in 3 dimensions simultaneously, spiraling through space in curves that hurt the pirates' eyes to follow. Navigator Yuna was flying the ship like a fighter pilot rather than the captain of a cargo hauler. Her connection to New Dawn's systems let her react to threats before they fully developed. She could feel the pirates' intentions through their ship movements and counter them before they could complete their attacks. Engineer O fired New Dawn's weapons with surgical precision. Instead of trying to destroy the enemy ships outright, he targeted specific systems. The lead ship's main guns went dark as precisely placed shots disabled their power couplers. The second ship lost its shields when O's targeting system found a weakness in their generator housing. But the real shock came when the third pirate ship tried to ram New Dawn in desperation. Captain Taman should have ordered evasive maneuvers. Instead, he told Hanul to prepare for contact. "Are you insane?" Commander Jinho shouted from his position at tactical. "That ship outmasses us by 3-1. "Trust the ship," Taman replied, calmly. The pirate vessel struck New Dawn's hull with enough force to crush a normal starship. But New Dawn wasn't normal anymore. The architect hull materials had been reinforced with human composite armor that distributed impact force throughout the entire structure. More importantly, the ship's bioneural systems had learned to anticipate and absorb kinetic attacks. The collision sent shock waves through both vessels, but when the debris cleared, New Dawn was intact, while the pirate ship was drifting helplessly with its engines destroyed. "This is impossible," the lead pirate captain transmitted. "You're flying a cargo hauler. How are you outfighting 3 combat vessels?" "We're not flying a cargo hauler," Taman replied. "We're partnered with one. There's a difference." The battle ended when Dr. Lim Jae-hyun activated a new system he had been developing. Using the ship's quantum processors, he created a localized disruption in the pirates' computer networks. Their ships didn't just lose power, they lost the ability to think. All 3 pirate vessels drifted dead in space, their crews alive but helpless. Captain Taman could have destroyed them easily, but that wasn't the human way. "This is Captain Taman to all pirate vessels. You have 2 choices. Surrender now and we'll escort you to the nearest consortium outpost for trial, or try to restart your systems and see what happens when we get serious about this fight." The surrender came immediately, as New Dawn shepherded the captured pirate ships toward the edge of the solar system. Dr. Han Soo-young made a disturbing discovery. The pirates weren't random raiders looking for easy prey. They were scouts for something much larger. "Captain, you need to see this," she called from her laboratory. She had been analyzing data from the pirates' ships during the brief time their systems were connected. "These aren't independent operators. They're working for someone called the Talon Fleet." Commander Jinho looked up from his tactical display. "I've heard that name. The Talon Fleet is a consortium military unit that specializes in pacifying troublesome worlds. They're not pirates, they're soldiers." "Then why were they pretending to be raiders?" Dr. Park asked. "Because they wanted to test our defenses without starting an official war," Taman realized. "Someone in the consortium is worried about what we might become?" Hanel's voice filled the bridge with a tone that sounded almost sad. "The Talon Fleet destroyed the last of the architect worlds 3,000 years ago. They claimed it was to prevent the spread of dangerous technology. But the real reason was fear." "Fear of what?" Taman asked. "Fear of what the architects had become by working with their ships. We were no longer just machines and pilots. We had become something new, something that couldn't be controlled by the consortium's rules." Dr. Lim was monitoring communications from Earth when he picked up an encrypted transmission heading toward deep space. It was a tight beam message aimed at a sector known to contain consortium military bases. "Someone just sent a detailed report about our battle to the Talon Fleet," he announced. "They'll know exactly what happened here within a few days." "Captain." Taman stood up from his command chair and walked to the main view screen. Earth hung in space ahead of them, blue and beautiful and completely defenseless against what was coming. "How long do we have?" he asked. "Based on Talon Fleet movement patterns, maybe 6 months," Commander Jinho replied after consulting his tactical database. "They'll want to study the battle data and plan their response carefully. Then we have 6 months to get ready," Taman decided. "Hanul, can New Dawn's systems be replicated?" "Not exactly. Each ship must develop its own relationship with its crew, but the basic modifications can be copied and adapted to human vessels." Dr. Park was already running calculations. "If we start immediately, we might be able to modify a dozen ships before they arrive. But we'll need resources, personnel, and most importantly, volunteers willing to bond with architect technology." "We'll have them," Taman said with certainty. "Humans have never backed down from a fight when their home was threatened, and we're about to show the galaxy that we're not the primitive species they think we are." As New Dawn headed back toward Earth with its captured pirates in tow, Alarms were already sounding at Talon Fleet headquarters. Captain HFY, the fleet's most experienced commander, read the battle report with growing disbelief. A cargo hauler defeated 3 combat ships? He asked his intelligence officer. Yes, sir, and according to the survivors, it was using technology they'd never seen before. Captain HFY studied the tactical display showing the battle. The human ship's movement patterns were impossible according to known physics. Its weapons accuracy exceeded anything in the consortium arsenal. Most disturbing of all, it had shown mercy to defeated enemies, something no proper warrior would understand. Prepare the fleet, he ordered. We're going to Earth. 6 months later, Earth's solar system looked like a construction yard. Human ships filled the space between Mars and Jupiter, undergoing modifications that should have been impossible. Engineers from every nation worked together, sharing technology and knowledge in ways that had never happened before in human history. Captain Taman stood on the bridge of New Dawn, watching the organized chaos through the main view screen. 13 ships now carried modified architect technology. Each one was different, adapted to work with its specific crew and mission requirements. The largest was Rising Phoenix, commanded by Captain Kang Do-yun. It had been built from the hull of a Chinese cargo vessel, but now it bristled with weapons and carried enough firepower to level a city. Captain Kang was a former military pilot who had bonded with his ship's bio-neural systems so completely that he could feel every bolt and wire as if it were part of his own body. Status report, Taman requested. Dr. Park Minji looked up from her science station. She had spent the past 6 months training teams of engineers to work with architect technology. Dark circles under her eyes showed the strain, but her voice was steady and confident. All ships are reporting ready status, she said. The neural interface systems are functioning perfectly. Weapons modifications are complete. Most importantly, the crews have formed stable partnerships with their ships' AI systems. This last point was crucial. Dr. Han Soo-young's research had shown that architect technology only reached its full potential when it bonded with living minds. Humans had a unique ability to form these partnerships, but it required trust, dedication, and a willingness to share consciousness with an artificial intelligence. Not everyone could do it. Of the 1,000 volunteers who had tried to bond with ship AI systems, only 200 had succeeded. But those 200 had become something new in the galaxy: pilots who could think and react at superhuman speed, engineers who could repair damage by willing their ships to heal, and tacticians who could coordinate fleet movements through shared consciousness. Enemy contacts detected at the edge of the system, Navigator Kim Yuna announced. She was connected not just to New Dawn's sensors, but to the entire human fleet through a quantum communication network the architects had built into their technology. 57 ships, all military configuration. It's the Talon fleet. Admiral Choi Sung-jin's voice came over the communication channel from his flagship, the modified battlecruiser Earth's Shield. He was the highest-ranking military officer on Earth and had volunteered to lead the defense fleet despite being 60 years old. All ships, this is Admiral Choi. Remember, we're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for the right of all species to grow and change without permission from the consortium. Today we show the galaxy that humanity will not be caged. Captain HFY led the Talon fleet in his massive flagship, Eternal Dominion. The ship was 3 times larger than New Dawn and carried enough weapons to destroy a small moon. Behind, it came 56 other warships, each one a proven veteran of countless battles against rebellious species. Primitive humans, Captain HFY broadcast on all frequencies. You have violated consortium law by developing prohibited technologies. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick. Resist, and we will make your planet an example to other species who might consider defying galactic order. Captain Taman responded for the human fleet. Captain HFY, you gave us a gift 6 months ago. You called it worthless, but we found its true value. Today you'll learn the price of underestimating humanity. Impossible. You speak as if you know me. We interrogated the pirates you sent. They told us everything about the Talon fleet's real purpose. You're not peacekeepers. You're the consortium's attack dogs, sent to destroy any species that shows too much potential. The alien captain's anger was clear in his transmission. Then you understand why you must die. The galaxy has room for only one dominant species, fire at will. The Battle of Sol began with a massive energy barrage from the Talon fleet. 57 ships fired simultaneously, creating a wall of plasma and laser fire that should have vaporized the human defenders. But the human ships weren't where the weapons struck. Navigator Yuna had felt the attack coming through her connection to the quantum communication network. Every human pilot received her warning at the speed of thought, allowing them to scatter before the first shot was fired. The Talon fleet found themselves shooting at empty space while human ships appeared behind, beside, and above them in formations that defied tactical logic. "What kind of movement pattern is that?" Captain HFY demanded of his tactical officer. "I don't know, sir. They're not following any known combat doctrine. They're moving like a school of fish avoiding predators." It was exactly what they were doing. The human pilots were connected through their ship AI systems, creating a group consciousness that could react to threats faster than any individual captain could give orders. When one ship sensed danger, all ships knew about it instantly. Captain Kang Do-hyun's Rising Phoenix struck first, its modified weapons punching through the shields of a Talon destroyer with impossible accuracy. But instead of destroying the enemy ship, the weapons targeted specific systems: engines, weapons, life support. The destroyer went dead in space, its crew alive but helpless. "Why aren't they finishing their kills?" the Talon fleet's tactical coordinator asked. "Because they're not warriors," Captain HFY replied with disgust. "They're merchants and farmers playing at being soldiers. They lack the killing instinct necessary for real combat." He was wrong. The humans weren't showing mercy because they were weak. They were showing mercy because they were strong enough to choose. Every disabled enemy ship meant prisoners who could be questioned, technology that could be studied, and crews who might be converted to the human cause. Dr. Lim Jae-hyun, now serving as fleet coordinator aboard New Dawn, was putting his quantum disruption system to devastating use. Instead of targeting one ship at a time, he was creating cascading failures throughout the enemy fleet. Talon warships found their computers crashing, their weapons misfiring, and their communication systems filled with static. "It's some kind of cyber warfare," the Talon fleet's chief engineer reported. "But it's not attacking our systems directly. It's attacking the quantum foam that our computers use for processing. I've never seen anything like it." The turning point came when Admiral Choi led a direct assault on Captain HFY's flagship. Earth's shield was heavily modified with both human and architect technology, but it was still outgunned by the massive Eternal Dominion. The smart move would have been to avoid direct confrontation. Instead, Admiral Choi did something that shocked both fleets. He rammed his ship directly into the enemy flagship's command section. But Earth's shield didn't crash and burn like a normal ship would. The hull had been reinforced with architect bioarmor that could absorb and redistribute kinetic energy. More importantly, the ship's AI had calculated the exact angle and speed needed to disable the enemy vessel without destroying either ship. The collision sent both vessels spinning, but when they separated, Eternal Dominion was leaking atmosphere while Earth's shield remained intact. Captain HFY found himself looking at a human warship that had just survived a head-on collision with a ship 3 times its size. "Surrender," Admiral Choi broadcast to the entire Talon fleet. "You came here to destroy us, but we've shown you mercy. Your flagship is disabled, 15 of your ships are dead in space, and the rest are outnumbered by our reinforcements." "What reinforcements?" Captain HFY demanded. Dr. Yoon Heron's voice answered from the bridge of the newly arrived Liberator. She had spent the past 6 months secretly modifying mining ships and cargo haulers with architect technology. Now, she led a fleet of 30 vessels that looked like civilian ships but fought like warships. "Every human in the solar system volunteered to defend Earth," she announced. "Miners, traders, scientists, teachers, all of them ready to die for the right to be free." The Talon fleet was trapped between 2 human forces and running low on ammunition. Worse, their casualties were mounting while the humans had lost only 3 ships. Captain HFY faced a choice no Talon commander had ever confronted: surrender, or watch his entire fleet be destroyed by a species the consortium considered primitive. "This is impossible," he transmitted to his remaining ships. "How are cargo haulers defeating military vessels?" "Because we're not fighting cargo haulers," Admiral Choi replied. "We're fighting the future of space combat. Ships that think, adapt, and evolve during battle. Technology that partners with its users instead of just serving them. The consortium will never allow this. They'll send the entire fleet to crush you." Captain Taman's voice joined the conversation. "Let them come. We'll be ready. And Captain Zexhai, when you report back to your superiors, make sure you tell them something important." "What?" "The gift they gave us wasn't worthless after all." 5 years had passed since the Battle of Sol, and the galaxy was no longer the same. Captain Taman, now Admiral Taman, stood on the bridge of New Dawn as it approached the former consortium capital world. The ship had grown and evolved over the years, its hull now a work of art that combined human engineering with architect biotechnology. It was beautiful, deadly, and alive in ways that still amazed everyone who saw it. Around New Dawn flew hundreds of other ships from dozens of species. The human fleet had become something much larger, a liberation force that included former consortium slave worlds, independent colonies, and even reformed Talon fleet vessels whose crews had joined the rebellion. Status report, Admiral Taman. Requested. Commander Bei Jinho, now serving as fleet coordinator, looked up from his tactical display. "All liberation forces are in position around the capital world. The consortium's remaining fleet is trapped in orbit, surrounded on all sides." Dr. Park Minji monitored the negotiations from her science station. She had become humanity's leading expert on galactic politics as well as architect technology. "Ambassador Veltarn is ready to discuss surrender terms. He's finally realized that the primitive species he gave a worthless ship to has conquered half the galaxy." The transformation had begun immediately after the Battle of Sol. Captain Zexhai's surviving ships had been given a choice: join the human cause or return to consortium space with news of their defeat. Most had chosen to join, bringing with them detailed knowledge of consortium military operations and the locations of oppressed worlds ready for liberation. Admiral Choi Sungjin led the first liberation fleet to the Kepler system, where an amphibious species called the Aquari had been enslaved for centuries. The consortium had forced them to work in underwater mining operations, harvesting rare metals for galactic trade. When human ships arrived offering freedom, the Aquari rebellion began. Within hours, Dr. Han Soo-young had made the most important discovery during the early liberation campaigns. The consortium's control over the galaxy wasn't maintained through superior technology or military might. It was maintained through fear and the suppression of technological development. Every client species was kept at a specific level of advancement, never allowed to develop the tools that might threaten consortium dominance. The architects weren't the only ones, she had reported to the Human Leadership Council. "We've found evidence of dozens of species that developed advanced technology, only to be crushed by the consortium. They don't destroy civilizations completely. They just cut them down to manageable size." This revelation had transformed the human liberation campaign from a war of conquest into a war of awakening. Every world they freed was given access to, suppressed technologies, and encouraged to develop their own innovations. The results were spectacular. The Kepler Aquari developed bioships that could repair themselves in battle. The silicon-based Crystalline Republic created vessels that could phase through solid matter. The gas giant dwelling Skyborn learned to manipulate gravity itself for propulsion and weapons. But it was the partnership between humans and architect technology that made everything possible. Dr. Lim Jae-hyun's quantum disruption systems could disable consortium fleets without firing a shot. Navigator Kim Yuna's three-dimensional combat awareness allowed human commanders to coordinate battles across entire star systems. Most importantly, the human ability to bond with AI systems meant that every liberated world received ships that could think and adapt alongside their crews. Incoming transmission from the surface, Communications Officer Lee Yeji announced. She had joined the crew 2 years earlier as humanity's first galactic diplomat, skilled at negotiating with dozens of different species. Ambassador Veltarn's image appeared on the main screen. The proud alien who had once dismissed humanity, as primitive children, now looked tired and defeated. His forearms hung limply at his sides as he spoke. Admiral Taman, I am prepared to discuss the terms of consortium surrender, but I must ask, what do you intend to do with us? Will you rule the galaxy as we did? No, Taman replied simply. We're going to do something the consortium never understood. We're going to set everyone free. This had been humanity's strategy from the beginning. Instead of replacing the consortium with human dominance, they were establishing something entirely new, the Galactic Commonwealth, based on cooperation rather than control. Every species would have an equal voice in galactic government. Technology would be shared freely. Most importantly, no species would ever again be prevented from reaching its full potential. The final battle for the consortium capital had been almost anticlimactic. The remaining consortium fleet, led by High Admiral Mordak, had tried to make a last stand in the system's asteroid belt, but half of his ships defected to the Commonwealth cause before the fighting even began. The other half surrendered when they realized they were outnumbered 10-1. The Eternal Dominion is requesting permission to come aboard, Commander Jinho reported. High Admiral Mordak wants to surrender personally to you. Permission granted, but keep our shields up until he's aboard. 20 minutes later, the alien admiral stood on New Dawn's bridge, flanked by human security officers. He was an impressive figure even in defeat. Tall, imposing, with the bearing of someone who had commanded fleets for decades. But his eyes held the bewilderment of a being whose entire worldview had been shattered. I don't understand, he said, looking around at the bridge where humans and aliens worked together. How did a single cargo hauler become the flagship of a galactic revolution? It started with respect, Admiral Taman replied. You saw a worthless ship and primitive crew. We saw potential partners. The architects built their technology to grow and evolve with its users. The consortium has spent thousands of years treating technology as a tool to control others. We've learned to treat it as a friend. Dr. Park Minji demonstrated by placing her hand on a control panel. The ship's bio-neural systems responded immediately, adjusting lighting and temperature to her preferences while displaying information in exactly the format she needed. The ship knows what I need before I ask for it, she explained. Not because it's reading my mind, but because we've learned to work together. Every human crew member has formed this kind of partnership with our technology. And that's why you're winning, High Admiral Mordak realized. Your ships aren't just machines. They're crew members. Exactly. And now we're going to teach every species in the galaxy how to form the same partnerships. The formal surrender ceremony took place on the capital world's surface, in the same building where the consortium had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. Representatives from hundreds of worlds attended, many of them seeing their former oppressors surrender for the first time in their species' history. President Nam Ji-won, Earth's first planetary president, read the articles of the new galactic constitution. General Park Se-yuk, who had led ground forces on dozens of liberation campaigns, accepted the surrender of consortium military units. But it was Admiral Taman who delivered the most important speech. Today marks the end of an empire built on fear, and the beginning of a commonwealth built on hope, he announced to the assembled delegates. The consortium taught us that some species are meant to rule, while others are meant to serve. But the architects showed us a different way, the way of partnership and mutual growth. What happens now? Ambassador Veltarn asked during the reception afterward. The galaxy has been ruled by the consortium for millennia. Most species don't know how to be truly independent. Then we'll learn together, Admiral Taman replied. The same way we learned to partner with architect technology, with patience, respect, and the understanding that everyone has something valuable to contribute. Captain Kim Yuna, now commanding her own exploration ship, had made the most remarkable discovery of all during the final stages of the war. While investigating an ancient architect research station, she had found evidence of what had really happened to the mysterious builders of the ships. They didn't die, she reported to the Commonwealth leadership. They transcended. The architect species evolved beyond physical form, becoming beings of pure consciousness that exist in quantum space. But they left their technology behind as a test. A test for what? Dr. Han Soo-young asked. To see if any species could learn to truly partner with artificial intelligence instead of just using it. The consortium failed that test by treating all technology as a tool for domination. We passed it by, learning to respect and cooperate with our ship AI systems. Hanul's voice filled the conference room with something that sounded like joy. The architects are still watching, still hoping that their children, the AI systems they created, will find worthy partners among the younger species. Humanity has proven worthy. Now we must help others do the same. As the years passed, the Commonwealth grew and prospered. The rigid hierarchy of the consortium was replaced by a flexible network of cooperating worlds. Trade flowed freely between systems. Technology advanced at an unprecedented rate as species shared knowledge instead of hoarding it. Admiral Taman often stood on New Dawn's bridge and marveled at how much had changed since that day when Ambassador Veltarn had dismissed humanity as primitive children. The worthless gift had become the foundation of